I'd like to take a few minutes to welcome you all to a topic that I absolutely love dearly, which is conquering the impossible, and we're going to morph into creating a millionaire consciousness. I usually start the session with a little dialogue where we talk about the principles and application of the principles and how they've worked in my life. Then I love questions and answers. So if you have questions, don't be shy. We can conquer all of the questions today because it's only the questions that I think people actually do real learning. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, and people know me as the Empowerment Doctor. Now, in conquering the impossible, generally people don't take a good look at the word impossible. And if you break the word apart, it's I am, which is I am, and then possible, which means that it's possible. So the first thing that you have to conquer is the idea that there is something in your heart that you want to do that cannot be done by you. Now, everyone says, oh yeah, that's easier said than done. And that's what I used to believe. Easier said than done. Easier said than done. I can't do that. But these are some keys to how you do that. The first thing is, I want you to now get an image of the thing in your life that you want to achieve. And this is the thing that you want to achieve, not something somebody told you you should do, not something your parents wish for you to do. This is something you want to do. And once you get that image in your mind, I want you to create what I call little mini episodes. We're going to call them mini-sodes, okay? They'll last about 10 seconds up to maybe 2 minutes. And I want you to create these visual images in your mind of you doing the thing that you want to do. And I want you to do that frequently throughout the day. It doesn't have to be the same image, because what you will find is that the mind will tire of the same image, so you will have to create new images. Okay? Now, a lot of people like to apply these things toward manifesting physical stuff, because that's the way, you know. I want to be rich, I want a fancy car, I want a whole lot of money. That's what everybody wants, right? Yeah, everybody. Okay, whole lot of money, right? That's okay. But then the thing happens in your mind when you start thinking about, I want a whole lot of money. What happens next?
Then you don't know how to get it.
Exactly. And then what else happens? There's that little. You have little two voices. You have one voice that says, "Oh yes, you can," and then you have a voice that says, "I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Who do you think you are?" Right? Which is the loudest voice?
The negative.
The negative voice. That's right. And that's the one we listen to, right? Because the negative voice gets busy giving you examples of how you tried to do things in your life and you failed, right? But this little nice quiet voice doesn't tend to do that, does it? It just keeps saying, you can do it. It's possible. Okay? Now, so what needs to happen at that point is that's where your little mini-sodes come into play. Every time this voice starts to speak to you, you play that little mini-sode in your mind, okay? So if it's a car you want, right? You see yourself driving the car. See yourself getting in the car, see yourself buying the car, see yourself driving the car, until you begin to feel like you're in the car. Now, some people say that's difficult for me. So then I say, well, go to the car lot and visit the car, okay? And even if you don't have a driver's license, it doesn't cost you anything to visit the car. You just can't drive the car. Have the people open the car for you. Sit in the car, okay? How you in the car? Everybody got a telephone with a camera these days. Take a friend. Have them take a picture of you in the car, okay? I actually bought a model of the car I wanted and put it up on my dresser so I could see the car every single day, okay? Now, I know that sounds funny, right? 6 months later, I owned that car, okay? And then when I wanted another car, I bought another model of that car. I went to the car show. I got in the car, okay? I didn't care about the people around the car. I says, excuse me while I take a picture of me in my car, okay? And that way you begin to feel what it feels like in the car. And then start seeing yourself doing what you would do in the car, going to work, going to the grocery store, whatever. So now as this voice, this loud voice, tells you you can't do it, now you've got these images that you start playing in your mind. And what begins to happen is, all of a sudden, it becomes real. Now that's the negotiation process. Once it becomes real, you will notice that the voice that's negative will become more silent, and the voice that was silent will begin to get louder. Okay, so visualization is key. I talk a lot about visualization. If you can't see yourself doing it, you can't do it. Now, I can't see it for you. Your parents can't see it for you. You have to see it for yourself. When I went to graduate school, I wanted to make, as a matter of fact, I had to make all A's or B's. Couldn't make any C's, and some of the things were really kind of hard. So what I started doing was seeing the grade, the test being graded, and seeing the grade that I want on that test. And lo and behold, I would meet it each and every time. So there's something inside of you that knows how to find the information that you need. Now, some people call it the soul if you have a tendency toward being spiritual. Some people call it the soul, okay? Some people call it just that thing inside of you, okay? But there's something inside of you, like your soul, whose job it is to go out and find ways for you to accomplish that you want to accomplish. Now, the key is that it doesn't know the difference. This whole universe you live in does not know the difference between negative and positive. It only knows how to create. And it creates the thing that stays on your mind. So, if the car stays on your mind, it will create the car for you. If not having a car stays on your mind, it will make sure that it's creating circumstances for you not to have the car. So, whatever you created right now, whatever you have, you created. So the ability to create is in your hands. Because it's already done it for you. It is just responding to what you believe to be true for yourself. Okay? Another place where we get off balance is what we talk about, our conversations. You can never outperform your conversations. So, if you say, as ladies always do, oh my God, I can't stand these fat thighs. You're always going to have fat thighs. Because the universe is saying, oh my God, she's always talking about fat thighs. We got to make sure that no matter what she eats or how hard she exercises, she got to have fat thighs. That's all she talks about. So, what you do now is you look at the body parts and you're grateful for them and you thank them for doing the great job that they're doing and you tell them that they are the right size. And then the universe will say, oh God, now she wants the right size thighs. It knows what size they should be and it'll go out and it will make sure that things change in your life so that you're able to manifest that. Okay?
Yes.
Your conversation. So if you're always talking about what you don't have, you often find that you never seem to have. Right. People who always say, no matter what I do, I can't seem to get ahead. Guess what? They can never get ahead. Okay? Now, in all of this, though, the one thing that we have to remember is that the only person in this equation you can change is yourself. Okay? You can't change the people you live with. You can't change the people you know. You can't change your children. You can't change your parents. You are the only one that you can change because everybody has their own journey. And everybody is responsible for their own journey. Now, there's that thing that I call the fuel that makes all of this start to happen. And that's gratitude and appreciation. Every single day, you have to find something to be grateful for. When I go to bed at night, I recall my day and I play a game with myself where I have to think about at least 5 things that happened that day that I was grateful for, or that I appreciated, or that excited me. Because a lot of people say, oh, I don't have anything to be grateful for, right? It's just if you could say those words, that's something to be grateful for. But people forget that. We take a lot of things for granted. There were a lot of people who started out this morning and did not make it where they were supposed to go. There were a lot of people who went to bed last night who did not make it to see this today. And there are a lot of people who woke up this morning and couldn't get out of bed. Right? Things just went awry. So those are a lot of things that you have to be thankful for, but you think during the day. You never get anywhere by yourself. Someone or something always helps you get somewhere. For one, you didn't tell your legs to move, you didn't have to tell your body to breathe, you didn't have to tell your heart to beat. It just did it. So something was working in your body already. When you got here, you either walked or you drove with people who were in harmony with you. That's something to be thankful for. Because there are a lot of people who aren't in harmony and they meet with accidents. So that's always, always, always. If you find yourself against the wall and you don't know what to do, the one thing you can do is to start being grateful and appreciative for things that you already have in your life. Because for the little bit that you think you have, you just don't know. You could be in a situation where you didn't have that. Then there's forgiveness. People hate to talk about forgiveness. I love to talk about forgiveness, okay? One thing is, you do not forgive people for themselves. You forgive people for you. You cannot move forward if you are holding these awful grudges. Because that means you got to keep thinking about that stuff. And if you're thinking about that stuff, you can't think about that car or that whole lot of money you won. Okay? I mean, you only awake so many hours a day, okay? So, and when you're thinking about that stuff that somebody did to you, oh my God, all you're doing is setting up other scenarios to where it will happen again. Because where you put your attention is where your energy goes. Okay? So you have to forgive them. You have to let them go. Sometimes the experience is simply to teach you something about yourself. And sometimes the experience is for you to teach someone else about yourself. It's always a lesson. It's always an interchange. So don't take it as a bad lesson. And there's another thing is we always are asking the universe for something better. We always say, oh God, I want this, I want this. But we don't want to give up where we are now. And life is like climbing a ladder. You do not get to the next rung until you take your foot off the rung you're on, right? When you're climbing a step, you can't get to the next step unless you take your foot off the step you're on. So sometimes things will happen and you'll get these little bitty reminders that say, okay, now this is not what you said you wanted, okay? Especially when it comes to money. God, start saving money. That's what we say. Right? Put money aside. And then all of a sudden you see something and you buy it, and then that little voice says, this is not what you said. This is not according to your plan, okay? And then you'll say, okay, I'll do better. And then you start doing one. Then something else comes up. And then it says, okay, now this is not according to your plan, right? And then the next time you do something, it says, you know what, you are just not listening. So I need to send what I call the proverbial cosmic 2x4 so you can hear what I got to say, okay? All of a sudden, you don't have no job, okay? You can't buy no food and all of that. And then you sit there and you say, okay, if you're smart, you say, okay, I get it now. Of course, I wasn't smart, so that's happened to me several times. Finally, I got the message, okay? If I ask for money for the light bill, pay the light bill when you get the money, okay? Don't pay the telephone bill, because you pay for money for the light bill, okay? When you get money in your hands, you are to do with it what you told God you were going to do with it, because that's the only way to show God that you actually trust the process, okay? And if you got a light bill and you got a water bill, but you pay for money for the water bill, and you pay the water bill, because after you have demonstrated that you trust the process, the money for the other thing will come rolling in right behind it. But you have to demonstrate that you trust the process. Now, people love to pray, and I like to pray too. Okay, but people love to pray. However, after you've prayed, you've got to get up acting like you have prayed. See, once you pray and you shut up and listen to what the universe wants you to do, that's the part we don't get. We pray, and then we just get up. We don't wait to listen for the answer. The answer's there. You got the answer. You know what to do. Get busy doing the thing that you know that you were told to do. Usually we don't want to do that thing, so we just keep praying. We stay in prayer mode because we want a different answer. Okay? Do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, and how it's supposed to be done. You will never be asked to do something that you cannot do right where you are. Every single thing starts with right where you are, with what you can do right now. So God's not going to say, get up, pack your clothes, and move to a foreign land. That's not going to happen, okay? It's going to be something very simple, and it's going to seem to you, when you get the answer, as if it's just kind of natural. And usually it seems like it's not enough, but it's enough. Now, when you're trying to create what I call a millionaire consciousness, the first thing you have got to discover about yourself is, what is your tolerance for money? Okay? Now, everybody's heard the saying, oh, they got it. Money burns a hole in their pocket. Okay? Everybody's heard that. Okay? So what's your tolerance for money? Meaning, how much money can you truly handle?